The Long Walk is a new drama, thriller, horror. I'm not really sure how to classify it. I suppose you could classify it as a horror. It is a Stephen King adaptation after all. This film was directed by Francis Lawrence. If you guys don't know who that is, he directed I Am Legend, among other movies. And this film has a very talented cast. You've got David Johnson, you might remember him from Alien Romulus. Cooper Hoffman, who is the son of the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. Judy Greer, Mark Hamill, Ben Wang. Ben Wang was in that new Karate Kid movie that came out a few months ago. Basically, the premise for the story is in a futuristic dystopian version of America, I think. The military or the government, I guess one of those two or both, they gather a bunch of young men, a bunch of volunteers from different states, and they force them to participate in the Long Walk. And the walk is basically where they start at a certain point and then they just walk until there's only one left. And the premise is that if you slow down or if you stop, you get killed. And so all of these guys are walking so that they can earn some big financial reward at the end. But of course they have to survive by walking, and they have to walk more than any other human realistically should be walking. So I have not read the book that this adaptation is based on. That's a thing with Stephen King. I read some of his stories. I don't read all of them. This one kind of slipped through the cracks for me. I saw the trailer for this movie and I saw the premise and I was kind of like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like The Hunger Games, except you're just walking. The funny thing is, I thought of Hunger Games and then I looked up Francis Lawrence and I knew that he had directed I Am Legend. Turns out he also directed some of the Hunger Games movies. At this point, after seeing this movie and the Hunger Games movies, I have to wonder, is he okay? Is there something wrong with him? Like, I'm sure he's happy doing what he's doing, but he seems to be very obsessed with very depressing, dark, horrific movies about people dying or people being forced to die. So it just feels like this type of movie is his bag, and I find that kind of disturbing, but also kind of awesome. The Long Walk is not kind of awesome. It is unbelievably awesome. This is one of the best movies that I have seen in 2025. It's also one of those movies that hits you hard. It hits you to your core. It had me in the theater rethinking my life and shit. It is so emotional and yet so intense. And I have no idea how they were able to keep that up for the entire runtime. I think that's a testament to the masterful direction that Francis puts on display here. He makes all the right decisions to make this movie fire on all cylinders from beginning to end. And again, it's hard to do that when the premise is you're just watching a group of people walk for 2 hours, basically. I mean, in the movie, they do a good job at illustrating how long this walk is, and they also do a really good job at illustrating that, again, the human body was not meant to walk these many miles. Not consecutively, at least. Like, we've all done the March of Dimes or done a marathon or something like that. You've walked to the mailbox to pick up a package or something. You've walked to a neighbor's house. You ain't walked like this. And after seeing this movie, I'm never gonna complain about walking ever again in my life. I think the best thing about the cinematography, besides the way that he decides to film it, the creative ways that he uses the camera to emphasize the tension in the movie, he utilizes a lot of wide shots and a lot of long takes, and sometimes there are just gonna be a lot of scenes where you're watching two characters walk and talk. You see other shots of like the countryside and of people watching them walk, and there's a lot of broken down homes, there's a lot of poverty. You get the sense that the country is not in a very good place. It still works. It's a world that feels lived in, and it also, again, feels very bleak. This is also accentuated with a very powerful, very melancholic, yet beautiful musical score. And I would also say that this movie absolutely is carried by its performances. The performances in this movie, and I don't just mean for the main characters, but all around. Everyone in this movie is delivering at the top of their game. He got the absolute best performance out of these people that you could have got. Judy Greer is not even in the movie that much, but when she's in it, it's very powerful, and I haven't seen Judy Greer in a lot of dramatic roles like this. She really killed that shit. Mark Hamill is definitely chewing up the scenery every time he shows up. He's not in the movie that much either, but he's kind of like the face of this movement, but he's kind of an antagonist. I would also say Ben Wang gets to flex a lot more of his acting chops in this movie than he did in the Karate Kid. He does great. There's a character who's played by Toot Nyat. Again, I hope I'm not messing up his name. Those guys were great, and they form a great fellowship with the two main leads in this movie, but you're gonna come out of this movie talking about the two main leads. David Johnson, who plays a character named Pete in this movie, and Cooper Hoffman, who plays a character named Ray, their fellowship, their friendship, their brotherhood, it is the beating heart of the entire movie. You feel so invested in their relationship on this harrowing journey that you know could end in death at any moment. Most of the people on this journey are going to die, but you're still walking for something. You're still believing in something. There are so many moments in this movie between these characters that almost drive you to tears. Like, you just want it so badly for them. And there are even some characters in the movie that are clearly set up to be the unlikable Stephen King characters that you see in all of his adaptations, but you never become desensitized to the violence. You never feel like, oh, well, it's boring. Somebody got shot in the background. The military, they have these trucks that are constantly following them, and if anybody falls behind or slows down, they just shoot them. And no matter who it is, you feel something when they die, and the characters feel something too. It never feels boring. It never feels like something you can just wave off as background noise. They do a great job at emphasizing the violence that happens in the movie and how brutal it is, but at the same time, there are some kills that are kind of off in the distance for more poignant and emotional reasons, and I like that balance. Also, it's a very simple premise, but it's also a very layered story. There's a lot in this movie, a lot of humanity, a lot about brotherhood, a lot about struggle. It ruminates on death a lot, but it's weird that for a movie that focuses so much on death, it also has so much to say about life. What you do in the moments between now and death that matter the most. Obviously, I didn't read the book, so a lot of book purists are gonna be showing up in the comments and stuff. They're gonna be like, actually, I don't like that they did this, and I think that's fair. That's valid if you feel that way. The ending, for me personally, felt a little bit abrupt. Like, the movie kind of builds to a point, and then it just kind of stops, and the movie's over, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, it's done? Really? That's how you close it? Okay, sure. I also feel like sometimes in this movie, there's a little bit of a lack of context for some of these characters and for some of their background. There's some context that's missing that kind of lessened the impact of stuff, because I was just like, oh, I wanted to know a little bit more about this, but the movie's not really focused on it, so I don't know what to do with that. I'm reviewing this movie now in video form, but know that this movie and the people who made it and the Stephen King himself for writing this story, you guys are gonna hear from my attorney, okay? I'm suing for emotional damages because I was a wreck at the end of this movie. At the end of the day, that's what you go to the movies for. You go to the movies to feel, and I felt a lot about this movie. The Long Walk is the most intense, heartbreaking movie of the entire year, and it absolutely belongs in the highest place on my channel, Superman Prime. Tell me, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And where do you rank it among the Stephen King live action adaptations? Go ahead and put that in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more videos. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.